Alright, welcome back, and it's time to continue with the tank reviews. Now, today I'll be taking a look at the Merkava MK.2B, which is classified as one of the more, let's call it one of the more problematic vehicles in the game. This thing is known for its stupid durability. This thing can eat shells for breakfast and shrug them off like no big deal, and thankfully, with the addition of the armor inspection and X-ray tools or modules, we can actually take a closer look at what makes these things so annoying. Now, initially when you take a look at the armor and at the armor inspection here, we don't really see a lot of armor on the Merkava. Sure, it does have some red spots. Overall, the frontal plate is going to be the toughest, obviously, and surprisingly, the toughest part is actually where the fuel tank is located. Well, at least one of the fuel tanks. Now, you do have some green areas, which is basically below the main cannon. This is why I was saying, if you're driving a boomstick or artillery, try to hit this annoying thing below the main cannon, where the green armor is. Overpressure is nearly guaranteed. That's how I deal with these things when I drive a boomstick vehicle or artillery. But yeah, the frontal plate and overall front armor of the Merkava is going to be the toughest part. The front turret is definitely also quite well armored, but thankfully, because of the shape, the initial front turret around the main cannon can be penetrated because that's where the turret is the flattest. But overall, the turret armor is also decent. Some parts of the turret on the Merkava MK.2B are obviously well angled, and it is going to be able to defeat APFSDR shells with angle quite easily. But ATGMs, high explosive HETFS shells shouldn't have much of an issue with angle. But overall, if you want to disable the main cannon, you aim right next to the cannon, around the main cannon. That's where I usually go with when I'm aiming at the Merkava. But overall, based on the armor inspection alone, we can't really see why this thing is so survivable. I mean, the armor, when you look at it this way, it's not that thick, you know. The roof of the vehicle is quite thin, and obviously some of the other green areas on the hull are quite thin, which makes it perfect for a high explosive or HESH artillery boomstick or any boomstick magnet. Now, the side armor is also, you have some composite screens and stuff like that. The upward over the Merkava Mark1 is definitely visible. However, the real magic starts when we look at the X-ray, because now we actually start to kind of understand why this thing is able to eat so many shells. Fuel tank, composite screens, engine, and a composite screen at the end. Now obviously the engine isn't covering the whole front. It is located at the left side of the vehicle, which means you do have a little opening on the right side where the driver is, where you only have the fuel tank. You can bypass the transmission if you aim at the right side. The shell will go through the composite screen, through the driver, and if you aim at the right side, you basically are guaranteed to disable the vehicle's overall maneuverability because the driver will be dead. You also do have a chance to disable the cannon because the commander and loader will be hit, and the vehicle will be stuck in a to resupply the crew, in a repair mode will be stuck. Or if lucky, you will also be able to hit the gunner as well, instead of the commander. Now the ammo on this thing is actually protected as well in homogeneous casings, armor casings basically, to protect the ammo from spalling from direct hits from incoming shells. The turret armor isn't really the toughest turret armor that we have seen, but it is well shaped and overall angled. But if you are using ATGMs, if you're using hit-based shells, HETFS-based shells, it will punch through the armor. But again, the reason why this thing is so survivable, I mean, just look at the ammo. All of the ammo is basically in its own casing, And the funny rear armor is also ironically good. The rear armor on this thing can troll, by the way. Definitely avoid shooting at the spaced parts because volumetrics will just kick in and the shell will do no damage. Technically over 1000 millimeters of armor. That's how the game counts it, which is pretty funny. The side armor is highly vulnerable, and if you can actually hit the vehicle from the side, you can definitely destroy this thing with ease. If the Merkava is even slightly angled, try to aim at around the frontal wheel of the track. You do have easy access basically to the ammo if it's slightly angled, but from the front aim at this part right here and you will guarantee to do damage to it. Couple shells in this spot and the vehicle will be destroyed because the crew will move around the vehicle and eventually the tank will run out of crew, or you can plant one shell right there in the right side, disable the vehicle and then flank it, or destroy the gun, destroy the main cannon and put a couple more shells into it and it will just be destroyed. So that's pretty much how you deal with a Merkava MK.2B from the front. Is it tough to deal with it? Well, not exactly. It's just that it seems a lot of players don't really know the trick with the exposed driver. Although I have to admit, when you look at the X-ray of the vehicle, you kind of are noticing that the engine at the front is kind of there on purpose. I feel like the engine is there to protect the crew from incoming shells, which in this game it does a very good job at doing so. So obviously avoid hitting the Merkava in that area. Now you can also technically penetrate the vehicle if you aim above the driver, because again the armor isn't really that thick. So if you, generally speaking, aim at the right spot of the vehicle, above or below the driver, you should be able to punch through the armor and you should be able to do some decent damage to it. Hitting the loader driver is going to help a lot. I think the gunner and commander are a little bit to the left, a little bit more towards the engine side of things, which can actually make it a little bit more tricky to get to them, but if you plant multiple shells, eventually they will be hit. That's just from my personal experience from dealing with these tanks and from actually driving them for quite a while. And this is the reason why I actually prefer to position the vehicle left side first. And this is a trick that if you have a Merkava, a trick that you can use yourself. If you position the vehicle like this, for example, basically you have a cover on your right side, so that, actually my apologies, the driver is on the left side, but when you look at the Merkava from the front, it will be to your right side. So yeah, the driver is to the left, but when you are aiming at the Merkava from the front, it will be to your right. So okay, if that makes sense. I think it does make sense. But yeah, when I drive this thing, I try to position the engine first, and I try to hide the side armor. Basically, I try to prevent the enemy from having a view towards the ammo, because even though the ammo is in the protective casings, even though the ammo is technically protected, if you land a direct hit into it, it will still blow up. So you can still ammo rack a Merkava with ease, even though the ammo is stored in the protective casings. You can still easily just detonate the ammo if you have a side view on the Merkava. So best thing to do when you're driving this thing is to try to get the engine. Oh, that's a flying turret. Try to get the engine take the hit first. Even though that's not going to work all the time, it will increase the survivability rating of this vehicle by a lot. Now, and obviously you have to make sure that you don't accidentally expose commander and gunner to incoming shots, because again you have to remember the side armor on these things is not good at all, so you have to basically position and in such a way that you are still behind cover, at least the rear portion of vehicle is behind cover. I believe that the next Platinum Wolf platoon will be another Merkava, Merkava Mark 3, I believe. If that's the case, that will be really funny, but we will see. There is still time until that is. There is still time until we have that seasonal offer. Couple more, I think a week and a half or something like that left. We will see. I forgot how long we are already into the update. I mean, I think it just started, so there's definitely a lot of time left. But with that being said, that would be it for the Merkava MK.2B. Definitely a strong vehicle, but it's not as immortal. It's not as immortal as portrayed. You just need to know a couple of tricks where to aim to disable the Merkava. Actually very easy to destroy this thing. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.